A couple attends a campground reunion party, celebrating what everyone hopes is a genuine fresh start for a place with a troubled history. She steps outside for a few quiet minutes of air. When she comes back inside, she is no longer recognizable as human at all. And what her husband does in the chaos that follows will define the rest of his life, however much of it he has left. If quiet, personal tragedy wrapped inside cosmic horror is your kind of story, subscribe now, because what happens to this couple over the following months is one of the more genuinely devastating threads running through this entire mythology. He was a well-known wildlife videographer, the kind of person whose entire career revolved around documenting nature and educating the public about it. Some of his footage, filmed for what seemed like ordinary nature and safety guides, would later reveal small, unsettling details buried in the background, hints that something was already deeply wrong in the world he was filming, long before anyone around him understood it. At the reunion party, everything felt hopeful at first. New cabins, updated safety measures, a community trying to move past years of unexplained closures and quiet trauma. Then the lights went out, and screaming started outside. When the chaos settled and survivors accounted for who made it and who didn't, he realized his wife wasn't among the people who fled inward to safety. She was outside. And what came back through the door wasn't her. Not anymore. Something far larger, transformed beyond any recognition, with an origin nobody at that party could explain. He survived that night, likely by making it to a fortified shelter on the property built specifically for emergencies just like this one. In the aftermath, something in him shifted completely. Rather than walking away from what he'd witnessed, he dedicated the rest of his career to trying to warn people about exactly what he'd seen, continuing to film wildlife and survival guides, but quietly working in details meant to alert anyone paying close enough attention that something much larger and more dangerous than ordinary nature was actually out there. Months later, he vanished during a filming expedition, sparking a public search that never found him. Records later uncovered suggest he may have encountered something connected to the very same threat that took his wife, possibly even contracted the same affliction that changed her, standing helplessly at someone's bedside in his final recorded days, unable to do anything but document what was happening to him. There's something quietly devastating and admirable in his choice, underneath all the horror surrounding it. Instead of retreating from an unbearable loss, he spent whatever time he had left trying to warn strangers he'd never meet, embedding real information into content that looked, on the surface, completely ordinary. That's a genuinely human response to tragedy worth sitting with, turning grief into something that might actually protect someone else, even anonymously, even at real personal cost. What ultimately happened to him in his final days remains unclear. What is clear is that he never stopped trying to get the truth out, right up until the recordings simply stop.